Okay, guys, it's September 27th, so we're live for our associate session. So a number of our associates, this is for everybody that's not on and anybody that's watching. A number of our associates have joined us because they want to loan EMD, they want to loan earnest money deposits to wholesalers primarily. It's primarily a wholesaler deal to double close, which allows them to not have to cloud titles. It makes it more transparent, and it is quite lucrative for EMD lenders, and you can charge anywhere from 1 to 15%. You'll see different people going, hey, you should only do 1 or 2 or 5%. I think 10, 12, 15% because wholesalers tend to be in a little bit of a where they tend to overcharge for a lot of their stuff anyway. So I'm kind of like, I want to kind of give you guys something lucrative to do. Now we've been talking about EMD. We've gone through the wholesaler contract. We've done the A to B. We've done the B to C. We'll do one more refresher on those before the end of November, before we stop, just to do another refresher. But what we don't have is a lot of history with the contracts. So what you guys have asked me, and a number of people that aren't on that are doing EMD, we have a number of people that have asked, how am I protected? How do I get repaid? What is the process? What are the elements of a earnest money deposit loan? And it is something that has to be repaid at the close of escrow. So it has to be repaid then. It is not, so you got to have direction of pay. You got to have the elements. You got to have the closing agent or the escrow agent or the title company involved. So there's some discussions on that. So what I did is I started working on a document a couple of weeks ago because I just couldn't find one that I was happy with. So I started creating one. I did reach out to an attorney friend and get some elements that I'm going to talk to you guys about that have to go into it. We're going to make it a little cleaner than the one I'm going to show you tonight that I've worked on. So what we want to do is we want to get input, and anybody that's watching that's not on tonight can also provide input. I will collect that input, and I will complete a second and hopefully final draft for you guys next Wednesday for you guys the associates to approve, and it'll become our proprietary almost exclusive form for if you're an EMD lender, you can use it outside of the group, but it'll be more like an exclusive thing that we offer when you guys are looking to loan EMD. So what I want to do that helps you guys get buy-in. It's something that you guys help kind of create. So what I'm going to do at the end of that week, once you guys approve it, we can start using it right away. But I'm going to send it back to my attorney friend, real estate attorney friend, and have them look at it. Now, I cannot guarantee that 50 states because nobody in here is going to be real expert on closes in 50 states. There's so much stuff going on. We've heard it Texas, California, Florida. There's all kinds of different rules popping up, and a lot of stuff is going to affect real wholesalers. But what I wanted to give you guys is at least a form that I started to work on that I think with your guys' input, we can actually make it. We can make it an industry standard. We could actually eventually take it outside and provide it to other people to use because, like I said, I looked for probably five or six. I got five or six different versions of things, and it wasn't quite right. If you go in and look at direction to pay, that's generally what it is because you're telling the title company to pay you. You're telling them when to pay you. There's processes. We talked about the HUD one. We talked about the settlement form. I've seen a couple of settlement forms that are like 2 pages. You guys have seen the HUD one when I show it. It goes into the 1300s, which is if you're using the HUD one, an assignment fee, your earnest, this being repaid is all going to be in the 1300 section. But there's some settlement forms that have buyer and seller. They all will have, they'll all be split in half. They'll have the buyer side and the seller side. So you're always going to want to look at the forms and have, if you're lending the money, you have a couple different rights. Obviously, the contract cancels if the loan doesn't close. It does not go hard. It is refundable 100% if it doesn't close for any reason because it's not going to not close because of you, the lender. It's going to not close because of other reasons. Now you're not going to be able to make an interest. You're not going to be able to make interest proceeds on it, but because the title companies won't enforce, and I've said this a couple of times, they won't enforce a fee. So if you go, hey, I'm going to loan you $5,000, but it doesn't close, you got to pay me $200 or $500 or whatever. It's a smaller amount of the interest proceeds would be. They're not going to enforce that. So that does suck a little bit, but you're not losing the money. There's no money. The money's not at risk. So I mean, if you have a deal cancel, not close, you get the money back. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you can just immediately flip that money back and put it into another deal with another. You may not want to work with that wholesaler or buyer again. or that person again. But there's not. So you want to look at the elements. Like, you cannot go hard. It is fully refundable. It is repaid out of the assignment fee. It is not. So it is actually, and it's something that you probably don't even have to really even. I mean, I don't know. I don't talk to lenders, but I don't believe you'll have to actually. The lenders will even, because it's paid of the assignment fee. So the lenders usually aren't concerned with the assignment fee. They've already knows that fee's coming out. So if somebody's financing that deal, let's say Casey or Clint, their company, or somebody's financing that deal, they're not going to see. They're generally going to see it as an assignment fee. They're not going to see that payment come out to you, except on the HUD one, and it's coming out of the assignment fee of the wholesaler. So they're not going to be concerned with it. So that's a good thing. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up, and this is going to be. I'm going to have this on the screen a little bit longer than normal because I am going to go through it because I want you guys to give me input, and I want you guys to tell me what you think the elements, if I've got the elements right. So it's kind of a way to cross check me, like kind of like a cross, all kinds of things, and see what you guys say. Those are the experience. What would you like to see if you're Greg, if you're loaning EMD, some other people in here are doing EMD, Chris, and other people. So we want to see, what you want to see in a contract like this. We're going to put that in there. We're going to build this. So it's going to be building this, and that way you guys are empowered. You've helped build it. You've helped build this document, and then we're going to ratify it um, next week with our full membership. I'll make sure everybody has it in the group. I'm going to post it a few times, making sure we get feedback from people not here. And then once everybody likes it next week, like I said, I'm going to send it out to the real estate lawyer, who's going to tell me, it's going to make sure it's good. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things I'm going to do with the to make it clean, make it really presentable. Because I want a solid contract that people go, holy crap, you guys have the EMD contract that everybody's looking for. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the contract. So I have been working on a little bit in Word, just so you guys know. So I'm not going to make changes really tonight because I don't want to risk like this. I'm just going to kind of go through it. Let me see if I can get it. If not, give me a second. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't think no, sharing won't work there. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, I'm going to try to blow it up real quick. Gotta try to make it look a little bit.
There we go. It's getting better.
Oh no, never mind. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Here we are.
So basically, this is basically it's titled as loan agreement for earnest money deposit. And so obviously I've got, the city, state's addresses, things like that. You guys want to, and there's a second document that's going to go with it. I'm going to tell you what we're going to need with it because it's going to be on your letterhead. And it's basically, you're going to write it on your letterhead and that's where you put your account information for them to do direct deposit, wire transfer, and all that stuff. So basically in this document, you guys are going to want to have, the elements are going to be, you're going to have the lender and you're going to have the borrower. You're going to be the lender. So it's going to be your name and your company name. You can make a second line, obviously, for your name and put all your information in here, your email address, your phone number. You want to have the borrower's names, which is going to be the wholesaler. It could be another buyer, another type of buyer besides wholesaler, but generally EMD is going to be loaned. This kind of loan is going to go to a wholesaler looking to double close. They don't have to hide anything. They don't have to do any clouding title. They will have the funds to actually put a deposit down on the A to B side using your loan, your funds, and then you will get repaid on the B to C. So we've gone over the A to B, we've gone over the B to C, we've gone over the wholesaler contract. You're going to have 3 documents. We went over promissory note last week. You're going to use a promissory note, which is going to be signed and countersigned by your client, your borrower, your wholesaler, and this form. And then you're going to have your own form, which will be on your letterhead. You're going to want to put your information. If you got a logo, that's great. It's basically going to tell the title company, and you're going to address it to the title company. And this is something you can create on your own because everybody has a different style. So that's where that kind of letterhead is where you want to tell the title company your routing information, your account number, the things that are required for a wire transfer and or a direct deposit. And if there's a paper check, to how to write it to, if there's a paper check involved. you can call. We're going to talk about this, guys. We're going to be, obviously we're going to be doing this an hour 15 minutes or so tonight. So I'm going to go over it again on the process after we finish the document. I want to make sure you guys have all the time to basically look at this. And I know it's so I'm still building it. That's why it's in Word. It's not saved any other way but in Word, so I can make the changes we need. And then so you got the bar. So we're gonna go in the background, guys. Unlike all these other documents where I don't go word to word, I'm gonna try to go word to word, word for word, so I can kind of give you guys want to look at this, and then I will actually post it tonight for after this. So the background: the borrower is engaged in a real estate transaction involving the purchase and resale of real property located at whatever the property is. The lender has agreed to provide a loan to the borrower in the form of an earnest money deposit to facilitate this transaction. The loan will be repaid from the proceeds of the seller's assignment fee at the close of escrow. This must be reflected on the HUD-1 or the appropriate settlement schedule. So you're going to call those, the HUD-1 is the settlement schedule. And so this form must be completed and sent to all parties within 24 hours of close of escrow. I'm actually going to change that 24 hours prior to close of escrow. So I'm going to go ahead and change that when I do edit this again. That way you guys, like I've talked about, where you want to get the HUD-1, you want to get the settlement before the close. That way the title company has it in the settlement document. So, and it'll say assignment fee, and then it'll have your loan will be repaid. And so if it's like in the 1300s on the HUD-1, it might be 1304 has assignment fee, 1305 has your loan being repaid. So let's say the assignment fee is $20,000. You have loaned them $5,000 at 10%. You're getting $5,500 wired or direct deposit to you or a paper check. It also states that you're not paying the wire transfer fees. The seller or your client will pay the wire transfer fee. So if it's 15 bucks, 20 bucks, whatever it is, that will also be paid to you. So you don't pay anything. That's the whole thing, is this you're getting your money clean. So the assignment fee is, so it's going to say on here, this form must be, like I said, with close of escrow, this form must include the following elements. I remember elements, you guys talk about criminal justice, they call it elements of the crime, things that's what DAs go through and all that, and detectives, and before they charge somebody when they were trying somebody. Well, there's elements to this loan. There's an assignment fee prior to the deduction of the loan and the interest proceeds. So you always want to return it to interest proceeds. We're reemphasizing that you have a return and includes proceeds. It includes, so you got principal and your proceeds. So the loan principal and interest proceeds. That the loan principal and interest proceeds shall be paid directly to the lender in the manner prescribed by the direction to pay. Direction to pay is direct deposit, wire transfers, with fees paid by borrower or paper check, agreed to by all parties with the approval of the escrow agent or closing attorney. So you guys are going to want to obviously get all the signatures on. You're going to have the signatures of you and your borrower, the wholesaler, on both this and the promissory note. We'll have the promissory note back. Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
on the right there at that spot there, you need to go ahead and break out direct deposit, wire transfers, and paper check, and have them line items so that these people that are involved in this transaction can pick which one is actually going to be effective, and everybody can sign that effect.
Yeah. So guys, what I'm going to do in a couple areas, I'm going to make boxes, and then in this, I'm actually going to, like Kevin said, I'm going to make little check boxes where they can check which one.
Everybody has to initial that they are aware that it's exactly, that they've agreed that that's the way it's going to work. So that needs to be in there at that spot if you can find a way of doing that.
Yeah, and I'll be able to do that tomorrow when I edit this, and I'll actually edit it and then I'll post it tomorrow after I do that. That way you guys can see it with those changes, because that's something I thought about as well, making sure you guys, all the boxes. I'll show you a couple other places. So this is a great form for that. And then I did highlight this. It is agreed that all parties agree that this money is not part of the down payment. That's key. It's not part of the down payment. That's for the down payment, and that it shall be repaid to the lender named with the interest proceeds owed upon settlement of close of escrow. Should the transaction not close, be refunded entirely to the lender at no cost to them. So we're also putting in language that basically this cannot go hard. It should not count against the down payment and is 100% refundable to the lender should this not close. If this closes, then you got your principal and your interest paid to you. Loan terms. The lender agrees to provide a loan of That'll be the loan amount. The borrower has an interest money deposit for the purchase of the above mentioned real property. And then we got repayment. The borrower agrees to repay the loan in full at the close of escrow from the proceeds of the seller's assignment fee. The borrower acknowledges and agrees that the loan will be repaid to the lender before any other disbursements from the assignment fee. So, and then we got interest. The interest shall be paid to the lender will be, and I put line items here, but I'm actually going to change these to boxes so it's more clear. So you got percentage, and then you also got the numbers. So they have both things. They can say 10% and $500, and then $500. And then I'm going to add another line that's going to have the total. I'll basically add another one that basically has the total. So you are owed $5,500 from the deal. Default. In the event of a default by the borrower, the lender may take legal action to recover the loan amount, including any associated legal fees. So that's kind of clear. Miscellaneous. When signed by both parties, this agreement shall be binding, and the escrow agent shall make payment to the lender upon settlement. Governing law. So the governing law of this agreement shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of, if you're in Georgia, now obviously you want to put if you're in Georgia and they're in Ohio, Georgia and Ohio, and you could even put you could put you and lender and wholesaler. That way they know there's two states where there's laws, that pertain to it. Entire agreement. This agreement constitutes the entire agreement between the parties and supersedes all prior understandings, agreements, and or representations. I'll put that and there as well when I edit it. Amendments. Any amendments to this agreement must be made in writing and signed by both parties. Counterparts. This agreement may be executed in counterparts, each of which shall be deemed an original, and all of which together shall constitute one and the same agreement. And then, of course, it gets down into the signatures. You can also add a notary signature. Here's the thing: I've actually never been able to figure out. If anybody can tell me this outside of the session, but hit me up and tell me. I've never been able to figure out how to do a notary public thing in here on these documents. If there's like a cheat code or something. So this is kind of the document that it's not, you guys, it's not long. So we're going to add these. We can talk about it now. That's what I'm talking. And we're going to talk about the process, the EMD loaning process. That's what we're going to concentrate tonight. And then, like I said, next week, we get all the feedback. I'm going to do the edits, the ones that Kevin talked about, the ones that I talk about, the ones you guys suggest. And I will have a final version for us to ratify next week. It'll go live. And then, like I said, I'll send it over to my real estate attorney friend who will actually kind of review it. So I think it's pretty solid and it's pretty simple, and I think honestly there's some things we can add, things we can change, but I think it covers the basis. Like most of the people, and I'm gonna go and stop sharing now. Most of the people that have come to me who joined, who want to loan EMD, have a couple questions for me. How is my money protected? How am I repaid? It cannot go hard. It has to be refundable, because most EMDs are non-refundable. And you guys will see that in almost every EMD contract or anything I've been researching to put this together. I haven't been able to find one that didn't have that language. So we had to almost create it. And like I said, Kevin's obviously talked to Cameron. They got some people. I'm going to look to see what they have for their documents. We can't obviously we're not going to get the one out of the Gator group because it's proprietary. So we almost have to create it. I have not been set.
Anyway, to be
Yeah,
honest,
we don't want that one anyway. I'm using an example, guys. We want to have our own proprietary, what you guys can use it. It's exclusive. If you go outside the group, you can use it, later on, whatever. So I think it's a really good start. So I want to hear some feedback if anybody has some suggestions, especially for the guys that have been loaning on it. We got Greg on, we got Chris. I think Chris is the Otterbot's here too. Sammy's here. We got, Willie. So we got some good people that have some experience with the lending. Glenn, we got some good experience here. Kind of just to throw some things on me. Like I said, I'm going to fix those things Kevin said. I'm going to fix those things I said and make a couple of changes. And then obviously if the attorney comes back and says there's a few things we need to add, I'll he's giving me 2 hours free. So he's rating me for giving me some referrals on some customers. So I'm going to be able to get a legal, a document that's gone through legal review for you guys. So is there anybody have any feedback right now that wants to, and then we'll start going through the process a little bit. So feel free at any time. If you don't have anything now, we'll go into the process a little bit of it. So when you guys are dealing with EMD, like I said, you're going to have this document. You're going to have the promissory note. You're going to have to also send your direction of pay. So like I said, again, I'm not going to create that because everybody here has a different, you have use your letterhead. You want to use a letterhead, a professional document. You want to obviously have all your contact information, and you want to have this is the direction to pay, and then you want to make sure that you reference the EMD loan agreement, whatever you call it, because we're calling it agreement. We could call it whatever. The promissory note. These are documents to you. Now, what you want to do is you obviously want to contact the title company. A lot of the wholesalers, a lot of people choose their own title companies. If you want to mandate, hey, it's my money, I'm choosing the title company, then we're gonna try to find some title companies that, if you guys already have some that you work with, that's great. A lot of people are gonna have their title companies or their escrow agents, so you're gonna want to get in contact with them before you sign, approving, say, I'm gonna go ahead and fund this deal. There's a little bit of work. I would say in the total deal, you probably have less than an hour of work to do per deal. So that's a pretty good. I'm trying to cut it down a little bit, but you're gonna have to contact the title company and make sure a lot of them can do these now. They're gonna do direction to pay. They're gonna pay you on the assignment fee out of the assignment fee, but you want to make sure, and you want to also make sure, like I said, you get that HUD-1 with that settlement form 24 hours prior to the closing at minimum. So you get time to make sure that your money's on that settlement form, because then that 20,000, that $5,500 is coming to you, and then it could say do direction to pay. You want to make sure if you cancel it, there is no, and that's language I'll put in there as well. If you cancel it, even the 24 hours before that, nothing can come back on you. You basically will get your money back, wired back to you, or direct deposit at no expense to you. And that way, if something comes up and it's not right, that's your protection, really. And the title companies are good at this. They're starting to get better at this because they're seeing it more and more. And investor, most wholesalers, most people in the business have their title companies that are work with real estate investors, and they know all the quirky stuff that God, everything. There's a lot of new stuff out there. This probably hasn't been out there for more than a year and a half, maybe 2 years tops. So they're just starting to get really used to what, because everybody's like, if you don't have an EMD loan, why are you if you don't have $500 or $5,000 to close this deal, why are you in this, you guys see that argument all the time. You'll see that in, Jim's group, you'll see people get angry, like, hey, if you don't have the interest of, the EMD, what the hell are you doing? But it's a new thing. And I think it's a way to cover, to go through the double close. The double close is a great strategy because wholesalers are notorious for not being transparent.
It also binds a contract if you're trying to secure a property that you want to have and you just have a contract. It's better if you have an EMD tied to it. And the other thing is, this gets back to the flipping part. You now have a marketable piece of paper on top of that that's bought and paid for in a certain way. So this is another thing that basically it works for. And if you're doing anything in multifamily or apartments or anything on a large scale, they do require EMD. So, and it's not usually more than 10% of the cost of the loan. That's the other thing. So for a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing, 10, 20 grand, if you've got it sitting around, you're doing good. You can put it to work. Smaller deals, $5,000, $7,000 is all you're going to need to do that. And you're not out a whole lot of time waiting on the return to come back. Nate's talking 24. I'd say 48 would be safer, just to make sure that it's there and that they know that it's there, and ensure that it's there. Call them up, let them know that they've received it, follow up on it, because this is very lucrative once you get into a flow. And we're going to be in a position here shortly where we can do that. And the returns, it's not just a 30-day thing. Now you're talking about 2-3 times a month, if not 4, 5, or 6 times a month on that same piece of money now. Okay. So it behooves you to be able to have that there and understand what it's being utilized for, and know that outside of what we're going to be doing, you'll run into other people that need it. And at that point in time, you sort of become an expert, and you can sort of train these people what to do with it and how it works. So that's the importance of the whole thing. A little bit does a lot under these circumstances.
And I don't want to over paper, meaning I don't want to have like a 10 or 12 page document for everything. You guys are
Need it.
Yeah. So we want to keep everything, the whole KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid.
It's
That was the
easier
whole.
to misunderstand the more complicated you make a deal, and these deals do not need to be complicated. Okay, it's not rocket science.
I could see probably adding one more page just with the changes we just talked about. But that's it. We're going to keep it down to like 6 pages or under because it's really, it's something that we need to make sure that it's clear. That's why I like the spacing. I like having spacing in contracts because I like to make sure there's separation. Um, there's some things you guys will see me. I'm a little OCD on some stuff. Obviously, you guys have never seen our PPM we did. Kevin Jesse can tell you that's
Ugh,
96 pages. That's not
I'm getting a
spaced like
headache just
that because
listening to
I
that.
would turn it. That would be 300 pages. You don't want to give you don't want to give an investor 300 pages. You don't really want to give them 96 pages. But we had a lot of stuff going on with that. But getting back to this, guys, it's important to when you do your first ones is kind of see what kind of changes, give feedback so we can make changes if necessary. But this is a solid document. Like I said, I have been unsuccessful in trying to find something that I like that I could show you guys that I didn't feel comfortable with it. I felt like it was too much. Like we need to make sure we emphasize this is refundable. It does not go hard. You get a copy of the settlement before it closes. That way you make sure that your payment is on that settlement form. Because
Yeah,
that title
you
company
might
is
want
going to hand it to the
to add a
transaction
line in there, Nate.
coordinator.
You might want to add a line in the
Yeah,
form that lends to that you need to be seen a copy of the HUD.
yeah. There's some things.
Yeah, that
Well, I
would
did. I
go
I
good.
put that in there.
Yep.
Yeah, the HUD of the settlement form. Because guys, you're not going to see. A lot of people don't use the HUD. It's required. It's only required in actually really conventional mortgages. It's not actually required in anything we do. It's not required by the Dodd-Frank law. So you guys may or may not see it. You'll see it in companies like Togo and stuff because they taught us how to do the HUD one. They taught us that in the process. Their transaction coordinator does the HUD one, things like that. But some lenders you're never going to see one, or they're going to have their own version of it. The HUD one goes into it's extensive because you guys know a mortgage is probably a far more extensive than a real estate thing. There's a lot more stuff they're looking at, a lot more stuff for FHA, a lot more stuff for VA, and all that stuff. So what we want to do is make sure that you guys get a settlement document showing where the money is going, who's getting paid what, 24 hours, where you have a chance to fix something. No, I need to be on there. And then you can cancel it. And it's telling them, hey, if it's not on there, if I'm not, we don't feel comfortable, cancel it. And you get your money wired back. What's generally going to happen is you're going to wire your money probably like if the close is on a Wednesday, you might wire it on Monday. You might, in some cases, have to wire it, earlier than that. But again, you get to approve it. So it's not like you can tell them, hey, so when's the title company need the money? Title company is 3 weeks out. So why do I say this is another reason why I say I don't want you to go all in. If you're just starting, you got 50 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is, break it up. Break it up into the first 5, 6 weeks. Because these things happen to be like a 4 week cycle, maybe five. So you have to commit to $5,000 being 3 or 4 weeks out, another 5,000 being 6 weeks out, another 5,000 being 7 weeks out. They start building up where you got those weekly, the deals coming in. So then you break it up while you're getting started. As they get repaid, then you're adding that interest back in, and then like I said, week one interest becomes week five. Then you go to that week one loan becomes a week five loan. Week two becomes six. You want to do that over 12 weeks. You're adding that interest back on top of it. Eventually, after 12 weeks, you could add all the interest in. You could almost go out and go, hey, now instead of doing 5,000 a loan, I'm doing 7,000 a loan. So your interest is obviously increasing. You do that another 12 weeks, another 12 weeks, another 12 weeks. By the end of the time you get to the first year, you guys could literally almost take your principal back. And then you're just loaning the house. You're loaning house money. So that's a good way to do it. And then you just build up, or just keep it in there, just keep building it up over. This is a great way to build that income. Then you get in with Cameron's deals. You get in with what Life Changing is doing on the loans. Willie Simi, Glenn, all of them are doing brokering. So I think that's a good chance for you guys to build your cash flow, because then your cash flow, you can leverage your cash flow into OPM, and you can go get that OPM for, because if you got $1 million, you don't want to go put $1 million in. Why not go put 100 to 200,000 of it in for your down payment, your reserves, and keep that 800,000 for your reserves and things like that, and then you can scale. Everyone wants to scale. That's where your assets and your wealth is. your income and cash flow are not going to be, you get enough to get out of your 9 to 5, things like that, become more full-time professional investor, then your assets and your wealth are going to come in time. It's not going to happen right away usually either. You get into Cameron's program, and now for those of you guys who weren't on the call, it used to be that you could have a 620 or it was a 660. Now you have to have a 700. It used to be that you had to do 50 properties at once. Well, now you can start with a couple properties and work your way up to 50. So that's a good way to build your income and your cash flow. And like Kevin said, Cameron's got some people that are doing these EMD loans, so we'll get their paperwork and get their input too to provide that to you guys as
Well,
well.
they're actually going to end
So
up joining us.
yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of resources for doing the CMD stuff, and we're ready to go. If you guys are ready to loan money, as soon as you're ready to go, I just want to make sure I give you guys a form that's good, because it's like you really need a document that's your own, that you can go out there and that's gonna pass muster with the title companies, because they're gonna look at, so at least, hey, you have a document and it's telling us what to do. It's giving us direction. You are a lender in the case. You're gonna have a promissory note. You have a signed document, a signed promissory note. It's not an agreement like the first position lender is going to have. The first position lender is going to have a little bit more extensive contract. They've obviously got foreclosure and all that stuff discussed in there, things like that. Judicial versus non-judicial, things like that. How easy is it for them to foreclose? Do you need a judge involved in all foreclosures? Things like that. There's a whole lot of stuff with Dodd-Frank that goes into that. So it's pretty cool. I looked up Dodd-Frank once, and the book's like that thick. It's like seriously, it's like pretty thick on that law. A lot of stuff in there. So I think this form is really good. So I'm looking forward to the feedback. You know, like I said, try to get it. I'm hoping everybody will try to get it to me by Monday or Tuesday, and I can have this document in a finished draft. And then everybody likes it, we'll ratify it. We'll vote. We'll say let's put it to work. It'll go to the attorney, and we probably have it back. I say we probably have it ready to go the 8th of October, at least by the 10th of the 2 weeks from tonight. We should have it 100%. We could, next week you guys can start using it if you feel comfortable. I just want to, like I said, I'm going to add those things. I'm going to add those boxes, the check boxes, and then a couple more pieces of language just to, and it's all protecting you guys. All the stuff I'm adding is like, this does not go hard. This is refundable. It is not to be used as down payment. So that money should not go to any part of the deal after the closing. It's basically you're out. If else I gotta go get his property foreclosed on, it's his
Well,
problem,
the
not
whole
yours.
purpose
You
of
probably won't.
this
I mean, unless
is to secure the deal while you're getting the funding together and hold it to close. That's the only reason why this is there. Is it binds the contract to close, and then upon the closing, your job is done. Your funds have done their job. They release it, and then everything else goes through. That's basically how this works.
there is EMD that can go hard. You guys all know that. And people put it down and it goes, there's refundable, non-refundable, there's inspection periods, there's finance periods, hey, it's Rod Cleve talks about deals where he puts the deposit down and it's non-refundable until he usually has 30 days and then 60 days. And then there's 2 periods where it becomes inspection periods and finance period. Because, when he's doing his multifamily projects, he's syndicating. So he's going out to his investors and he's got to have, they've got a big time. They may have already started, but obviously they've got a cookie cutter approach to it. They just have to pretty much just change, fill in the different information for the properties, and they usually have their syndication attorney do that anyway. And it could take them a week or two to get that ready, and then they got to go raise money with their investors. And a lot of times they use their existing investors. A lot of times they're looking for new investors, so they'll put in like a 30-day or a 60-day period in there, and they'll put the inspection because they'll actually go before it becomes hard, and they'll do they'll do a walkthrough, rather extensive walkthrough. I saw one where it took him like his guys like spent like almost 3 days on a property, and they were looking at everything. I mean, they go into units, they do all kinds of stuff. They look at fire alarms and stuff. They look at lighting outside, and you know, and they look at we're not going to really go too much into syndication because that's a huge change. Hey, by the way, guys, and some of the branding and marketing stuff. that thing that Willie has, breaking news fund manager. So that's, you guys can get that off of, and I've got it. I've got like hundreds of those. I got about 100 of those things. So if you guys want to use any kind of thing like that, you can go and put your name and, you can Photoshop. There's a thing called Photoscape too, guys. If you ever heard of Photoscape, Photoscape is awesome. And then also Canva. If you go to Canvas, canva.com, you guys can make these your own. I have a ton of these. And I have some some pretty cool ones. You can go to Canva, you can make all that stuff. So if you guys want to use any of those kind of things, those really stand out. I use these a lot when I started, and I made a lot of my own. I got these from Lee Arnold, but a couple of them, but I got a couple of them also from Vizio, and I made a lot of my own as well. I probably made about 50 of them, and you guys see a few of them that pop up every once in a while, but I've got a whole lot more. So we'll talk about branding and stuff in another couple of weeks because I want to get you guys who are newer. One more branding session, and I want to get one more. Don't take that the wrong way. Branding session kind of sounds, but like you got horses or something. Uh, one more for branding, one more for marketing, kind of thing. And then we're also going to do a couple more. We're going to review the HUD one more time. We're going to do a broker and the logical lending one more time. And then obviously we're getting into securities and raising capital in November. And we're done November 16th. So realistically, we got what, like 7 more sessions. So next week, like I said, the goal is for everybody to go back through this document, give me feedback. If you're not ready to do it tonight at school, I mean, tonight I really wanted to show you guys in a discussion. If you want to give me feedback, privately or whatever, do it. I'm going to ask everybody to try to get it to me by Monday. Now I have time to get this document in a final draft form by Wednesday, so we can ratify it. It's a term I used. I learned. I think we studied that in the Constitution, right? Ratify. I don't remember 11th grade. Um, so I mean, like I said, it's a pretty interesting process. It's not as involved. You guys will probably spend less. You'll probably spend more time, having to go to the bank, whatever your wire transfer. If they send you a paper check, now a lot of times you may not have a choice on. You may not actually have a choice. The title company may distribute paper checks. That's just maybe how they do it. That's another question you want to ask them. How do you do this? Because when we're talking about the check marks and Kevin and I are talking about that, you guys remember that the title company obviously has its procedures and all that stuff. And I got paid by, like I said, by paper check one time when I brokered a private money loan. And that was only because it was actually the title company was in Denver and I was able to just go pick the check up, so rather than they could have mailed it to me if I was out of state or something, but you want to get paid obviously right away. You don't want to have it in the mail. And then it's like, so that's a good thing. But direct deposit wire transfers. So if you check that you want direct deposit wire transfer, they may not do both. They may come back and say we only do wire transfer. So keep that in mind too. So you got to be open minded that the title company may not do what you want to do in that case. You're going to get paid. They're going to pay you a different way. And unfortunately, if they pay you a paper check, that could, if you're out of state, could take you a couple of days to get it. If it closes on Wednesday, it's a paper check. They may not mail the check till Thursday or Friday. It'll usually go out by the end of the week. So then you're talking about weekend and you're talking Tuesday, Wednesday sometimes of getting it. So you're talking 4 or 5 days. So I want you to be aware of that when you're doing this kind of deal. Anything with title company, you guys, it's their choice pretty much. It's how they're set up. It's, I don't know, paper checks are it's kind of like going the way of fax machines, which honestly, if you guys ever look at my hedge fund contacts that I have for you guys, there's still hedge funds and private endowment funds that use fax machines. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like, hey, I don't even know if you can even buy a fax machine anymore. So yeah, so it's a pretty cool process. And like I said, you guys need to make decisions who are lenders. Greg, you got the best. That email you sent me was awesome. Greg kind of laid out what his guidelines and requirements were for him to loan his money. So everybody that's listening, if you guys are going to be loaning EMD money, it's your money. You can come up with your own guidelines. Come up, hey, I'm looking for this. This is my risk tolerance. I can only do 2 a month. I can do 4 a month. I can do whatever your requirements are. Like I've taken the policy. I'm not here to tell you guys how to do things. It's your choice. Our thing is best practices. We're trying to talk about best practices. We're trying to develop some good practices, like with this forum. basically having our own proprietary form that's awesome that people will be coming out to us for because they're gonna and people are starting to talk. They're starting to call us about everything we're doing. And I got 3 lenders called me this week already, and we might have 3 more that are just like life changing. They're going to be big players. One guy's done 1,000 loans. He has a lot of investors that he uses their money in and his money. So we've got a couple of people coming on board. So we're just getting stronger and stronger. And then I talked today, we're actually starting to build that borrower client group. You guys saw me probably post today. Um, so my goal is to get have one associate for every 100 of those borrower clients, or for every 35, not 100. So one for 35. So that way, if you guys are loaning money, if you're partnering, even if you're just by yourself, you have people you can work with who could even be boots on the ground. Now, not every, you're not. It's not gonna be like you're assigned. Like one, you got 35 people. It's open. Everything we do is like open. So we want to make sure that you guys are doing deals together. This is a great group. It's organic. People, I mean, literally every day I'm getting like compliments on it. People are calling me about it. They're like asking me, "Hey, what's going on with this group? This group, we're hearing about it." I mean, we're not quite as popular as the Gators yet, but I'm not also trying to be that. I think
No,
I want to keep a smaller
we're
group.
not interested in
Yeah,
going that route. Not necessary. Okay.
yeah, yeah. We're trying to
Good
like,
Lord.
because there's a point, guys, where it's like I don't want to be the point where it's so big that I'm like I feel like now I'm like that I lose control. This is important to me. This is something we worked on, and you guys are awesome. So I want to make sure we don't get so big that I have to have people run things for me. I don't like that. I like to be involved. And even with the virtual system, we got thousands of people. I'm not going to be like, well, you guys will see me at least once a week doing some kind of live video thing, just because it's important. Um, so like I said on the CMD thing, you guys definitely want to take a look at it. If you see any suggestions, I definitely would like some input. But kind of like I said, I just got frustrated trying to find a document that I felt comfortable with. I've collected so much stuff. Probably for everything that I've posted in the files for you guys, I probably have about 2 or 3 more. It's just I'm kind of just trying to make sure that you guys have the quality stuff and the easy to understand stuff, and you don't have any convoluted bullshit or whatever that just doesn't work for anybody. People need to be able to do a self study. There's people tonight who can't make it tonight. You guys know that. We talk about that every week. People are still watching the videos. The guides are there, the files are there. People can do the self study. Some people, they're shy or they don't want to be on, or they got 9 to 5s, they got kids, whatever. I try to make this so people could still be 100% involved, even if they have to miss a session. So, things like that. I'm kind of glad I don't do this in the morning too, because there's sometimes I would have to be. Kevin can tell you, there's a couple times he's called me after I've done plasma donations, and I'm like, you don't wonder how I even made it home because I'm like so, it's no joke. You have to
Yeah,
stay.
you need to be a drill sergeant. Give me a break.
You have to do hydrate. You have to say hydration. Tomorrow's my 100th donation, by the way. I'm doing my 100th donation in the last year and a half, so pretty expensive. Um, but yeah, so this EMD thing is pretty simple. To be honest, I mean, it's like a really good way to make money. It's lucrative. You're learning $5,000 a week, and you do that maybe 30 weeks, 40 weeks a year. Learning 10,000. You guys just do the math. Come up with a number. Don't go over 15%. People bitch about 1, 2, or 5%. You got to decide if you can do it that low, if you're willing to. But I would sit there and go like 10% or 15%, somewhere in that 10, 12, 15%. And you will find a lot of people looking for it, guys, because the people hit me up all the time. And I want you guys to do the business. It's just like everybody here. Like, I'm not going to do my life changing link in our group. I'm going to do it when people contact me, because I get probably 250 people a month. I had 3 people call me today because they're closing on Friday and their lender screwed them. I was like, I can't help you. In 2 days, I can't put your closing together. But I gave them the link and said, here, fill out this question, send it to them. Who knows? Maybe they can find somebody. Clint or Casey can find somebody for them. It's just like a lot of people, and you guys probably see this, a lot of people have stuff happen all the time that their deal falls through. And it's always like, hey, my lender screwed me. I got to close on Friday. It's like, oh, it's Wednesday. Good luck. I hate telling people that, but then again, it's like I try to tell people to go through Vizio and Kogo and don't go through, if you're just starting out, I know it sucks to pay their, 16% or 14% or 13%, but guys, if you go out and you get your first 5 deals or 10 deals, things change dramatically. And obviously, Ginger, you've got access to that program. That's going to be incredible when are you going up there again?
Yeah, I leave on Sunday. So I
So
got
you'll be
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday classes, and then I fly back. So yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's going to be a cool
So I
thing
can
for you.
call you on Friday and tell Greg how much for, well, I won't go there kind of thing, but,
Or,
yeah.
Dr.
I'll
Jerry.
tell him you said hello.
Let's call him up
Jerry.
on Friday when she's on the desk manning the phones and see what kind of trouble we can get her into.
Guys, this program that she's going to is pretty cool, the Master Broker program, because they
Yeah.
actually do a thing where they actually work. The students come in for a week and they work at Kogo.
Yeah, we'll be on the phone and we'll be talking
they
to
actually work for it. They're talking to people. They actually work on the loans. They work in every part of that loan process, appraisal. They work with the underwriter. They work with the transaction coordinator, and they leave on Friday. And once
Mhm.
what is it, 6 deals, then you get your money back.
Yeah, 6 and I get my money back for the training. Mhm.
So that's an awesome, and they love flying people back up there, and they give them that big lottery check that's like
Yeah.
4 feet by 2 feet or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if people can actually go and cash those. I've always wanted to know that.
I don't think
Because if I
so,
did that,
but
I'd start paying people with checks. They're let me get my checkbook out.
yeah. I think it's for photo ops.
No, it is, but it's awesome. But no, guys, so she's a really good program. It's gonna be. Why don't you tell me what the benefits to you are and how you can help people with it? Because I mean, you got a lot of benefit coming back from that. People, I mean, I wanted to just. I was signed up for the master broker, and then we just decided to go this other way.
Right, yeah. Um,
So
well, I'll be able to do like 100% fix and flip if I go in with JV with somebody. So, and also the loan to value as well. So it'll
yeah, they
be
increase the LTV
increase the loan values
100
as well.
100% across the board.
Right.
So it's a great deal. And obviously, when you're a master broker, you know everybody personally. I mean,
Right.
because really out of Kogo, I know Gary and I think anybody that came out to that did our class. And I did the broker class remotely. I was in
Yeah.
Denver, in Atlanta. So
Right.
I get Gary taught that with, so I think guys, that's a great program.
I'm
And
a
so
movie star in his organization. I was actually there live, and he did a nice little interview of me. And
yeah, Lee actually
awesome
came to the
stuff.
one he was at.
Nice.
So,
Yeah,
and
I
I
did
also,
I did the one online where, to get my certification. I did that one online, but now I have to go
and that
to
one changed
go
too
there.
because it wasn't. I mean, it's COVID. They started doing online. I know. Did you You went through them, or did you go through what is the Capital Syndicate?
Well, I went through Lee Arnold's system. Yeah, and then they also have like you can also invest with them. So
Well, no,
that's a
yeah.
different
Yeah,
Did you
program.
that's
Yeah.
see? Did you see my picture?
Heather's thing.
I don't
Heather
remember.
Lee.
Because they send my picture out once in a while.
Oh, do they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll
I have
see
to
them.
look. I wasn't really probably looking, so paying attention.
They talk about, hey, Nate actually did a deal that he made $200,000 on.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. When they go through the deals. Okay. I'll have to go.
Yeah,
I can
they
watch
go
it
through.
again. I'll have to see. I wasn't
Yeah,
really looking for you. So.
well, no, people, because believe it or not, I get hit up by that on Bigger Pockets at least. Once
Oh
every
yeah.
2 weeks, somebody will hit me up. Oh, is that you? And I'll
Oh,
see
okay.
that people, and at first it was Capital Syndicate. And I'm like, somebody just jacked the picture or whatever,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I realized Capital Syndicate was a JV deal with Lee and stuff, and they were doing a lot of
Hmm.
training for him. I think they started doing a lot of stuff during the pandemic for him because
Right.
they were set up more for virtual where they could do virtual, but somebody like them. But yeah, people contact me all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's what Chris said. Saw me on the
Yeah.
webinar
Saw you on the
6:15.
webinar. Okay. So,
Yeah, people have seen me, and that's where they go, "Hey, that's you."
yeah.
That was my 7th deal, and but I
Nice.
did it with a family office. So I also have, and I don't think I've told Gary that yet or anybody at Kogo that it wasn't through a lender. It was a family office I brokered, so it was like an investment rather than a thing. And I got, it was a big sizable deal. It was a $7 million
Right.
deal,
Oh,
and all
okay.
that. And so it wasn't. I don't think they know that it was like because it wasn't through Kogo.
Mm.
So, but yeah, it's kind of cool. So we're getting back to this EMD thing, guys. Like I said, I just really want to ask everybody for their input. So please dig through it. If you think it's trash, let me know. I don't care. I mean, I'm like trying to do it for you guys. If you guys think it's awesome, great. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Hopefully somewhere to this side of. I don't. I'd rather have it go to Elmo than Oscar. Um, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it because I really wanted to get something out to you guys that was going to be good and solid and strong, and basically have protection after protection after protection, because this is something that's new, and you got to almost educate some of the title people have to be educated on this. You know, it's not going to be John Hornick's doing it. He understands it, but he's in 50 states. If you guys ever need a closing agent, an attorney, like I said, privatelenderlaw.com, John Hornick, and he's awesome. He's licensed. He has people in his law firm that are licensed across the country. So I don't think every lawyer is licensed. That would be a huge burden. I think my brother's licensed in like 3 states for what he does. So, yeah. So I mean, like I said, the EMD things, I'm really excited, guys. And I took my time a little bit. I didn't want to rush everybody through it. A lot of people said we were ready a couple of weeks ago. It's just like I said, and I'm never. And you guys know this probably by now. I don't like telling people how to do their business. It's up to you how to take these tools, take them, adapt them. This is going to be in Word. You guys can save it however you want. If you guys want to make your changes, feel free. Anything that's in our files tab, you guys own. It's yours. Just take it, make it your own, adapt it. If you go to a state, I'm never going to be able to take responsibility and say I know every state. I've only done deals in so many states that I can't keep. It'd be hard for me, even with all the stuff I got going on, to know every state. Ari seems to be pretty good on that when he comes in. He seems to be up. You can't do that in that state. You guys want to use realtors, obviously. You want to work with appraisers. A lot of wholesalers and stuff don't like realtors. If you guys really want to build your business, though, too, like I said, I keep emphasizing privy. I'm gonna say that all the time. If you guys want to ever, look into it, because you can eliminate your wholesalers, you can eliminate skip tracers. It does your lead generators. They are showing you how to do comps with it, and it's over $1,000, but it's well worth it. Would you rather pay a wholesaler assignment fees, or would you rather pay like $1,000 a year, and that's all you ever have to pay? You make so much more money doing that. And Benson's probably one of the nicest guys you guys are ever meet in real estate. He wants everybody to succeed. So if you guys want to know about Privy, it's good. And I'm starting to talk to Benson about EMD and stuff too, because he sees my posts and and he's in Denver too. So we talk a lot. So I'm trying to provide these resources to you guys as well, these knowledge bases. Like I'm going to type so you guys have it, private lender law and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I don't normally type like this, where I have my camera up. I have to have it at a specific height. So normally it's not ergonomically friendly, put it that way. John Hornick. So you can find them. And you can reach out to them if you ever need your own closing attorney or help with title. There's also a First American title. There's also a national title, guaranteed title, which I think land title. There's about 8 to 10 companies. So I'll try to look those up over the weekend while I'm working on this document. Hopefully, everybody likes the document. We can get it going, because we need to get this thing going. I mean, there's so many people that could use this, and you guys can make a lot of money and change the wholesaler game and get them from, because you guys know the taxes they do. They're going to cloud titles. They're not transparent. I don't think, and I'm saying this is my opinion. I'm not telling anybody, hopefully nobody gets upset about it, but I think wholesalers charge too much sometimes. Like I could see making 5 or 10%, hey, if you go out and you sign this to 100,000, charge 110,000 or whatever. Don't go and wipe the equity out, and don't go and leave some on for the investor,
You don't
maybe
want
leave.
to add more stress on the deal.
Yeah,
If
don't.
you do that, you're basically you're defeating the purpose of the industry. The industry has basically been built to be able to carry things when everything else doesn't work. And we can go a lot further down the road with terms. We can charge lesser rates. The point being is, if you're going to wholesale You know, if you got like a $35,000 property, you know, add 10 or 15,000 to it, but that's all you really need to do. And find ones that are worth floating out. You know, don't
You got a
unless you got
privy, you
somebody that
find
likes to deal with junk. You know, that's the thing.
you got a
And
privy.
make it grow.
Benson showed us one at 34% of ARV in Indianapolis. You could buy it. It was on market. You could call the realtor. You didn't have to skip tracer. You had the number. You had the comps in the area. So all of a
Yep.
sudden you realize you're a wholesaler. You could go pick it up at 34%, do the CMD funding thing with somebody in the program, and basically go, you know, sell the property at 50% or something. You just made half the money. You go, you know, you're at 50% and leave some for the invest, you know, the flipper or whatever, and do that time and time, rinse and repeat. It's just make money hand over fist. Because you can also loan them EMD money. You can double dip on this. You can triple dip. I mean, there's all kinds of income streams you can do off doing these kind of deals. And that's important for your income and your cash flow. And then that's going to help you build the wealth and the assets. You're going to get the assets when you work with Cameron. Then you start getting your income and cash flow. You start doing deals with, you know, Willie and Simi and Glenn can broker deals for you, put deals together. You can work with Quentin and Casey. And all of a sudden, you know, 3, 4, 5 years from now, everybody in this group is you know, it's like nobody needs anything anymore. Everybody's got every tool they need, every resource, and you've got all the experience. And it's like, hey, at that point, we'll just stay in here until, you know, until I don't know, war stories. You know, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. I think we talked about 30 minutes off recording on Monday night about
I was
different
going
stuff.
to say we probably ought to take it up to court. It's coming up on 7:30.
Your time.
Yep.
6:30
Well,
hours.
Yep.
All right, we'll go a few more minutes, guys, and then I'll take it off record. We'll have an open discussion about anything real estate wise or whatever. Like I said, I really want some feedback, so I'm asking you guys some because I want to make sure this document's good, and that way I can give it to the attorney good. And then like I said, I got 2 hours free with him, so he's going to look at it and get it back, and you guys will have a document to use as your own, and that's cool. And we'll do like a little. We'll do like a little Zoom too. I'll do like a little thing myself. I'll put my background on, and then I'll actually do it like a really nice, like present it. So I can present it that way. You got something to show to your clients. Hey, this is our EMD contract or whatever. And here's Nate's gonna explain it to you. Unless you guys want to do it. If you guys want to do your own, that's cool too. But I'm gonna try to make a little video for you guys to show people like the process. So that way you guys know this is something that it's a group effort. It's not something anybody just created out of thin air. Because I don't like doing that either. There's a lot of resources out there, but a lot of like horrible stuff is out there as well. Other than that, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that's really going to be beneficial now to us. And then just remember we are taking Veterans Day off, but we're going to November 16th. All right, guys, I'm going to conclude the recording. We will still go for probably another half an hour.